Okay, we are live on Work With Me Wednesday here at Post Up Careers. I got about 20 minutes and I've got a pork shoulder on the grill that's going to need wrapping in 20 minutes. So I've got a client. I'm writing their resume right now. I'll be writing their cover letter and their LinkedIn today. One of my personal branding clients. This is a client that I've known for a little while. Had just sort of reached a point in their career where they felt like it's time to move on. And they'd done a lot, and it was time for that next challenge. So we're going to go with the resume today, because that's probably all we're going to have time for, or at least part of the resume. And you'll work with me as I write it. As usual, I've got 3 screens. I've got my iPad resting on this monitor right here, which has the client's LinkedIn profile up. I've got this monitor over here with their existing resume, which does not have their current job on it. And I've got my main computer here with the resume that I'm typing. And then the client's intake form is behind the existing resume on this screen. So I've already got the contact information set up. You know, as I've talked about previously, writing a resume is all about momentum, meaning you have to create flow for yourself. And so I'm not going to start with this summary. I'm going to start with this education, because that's finite. It's not changing, at least in the moment. I don't. And it helps me begin getting a sense of the client. So this client has a bachelor's degree from El Cid. So we're going to get that on there. Bachelor of Science. Now on his existing resume, he's got his education at the top. We're going to move that to the bottom. Got it. We moved it to the bottom. Graduated a long time ago. No date of graduation on the resume. Don't want any ageism to come into effect. Not that he's old, but you know, once you're 2-3 years out of college, that date can come off the resume unless maybe you're continuously learning and continuously going back and getting a master's or even a doctorate. So we've got the education done. Let me get that off his. I delete things from existing resumes after I add them here, so I know that I've covered everything. Okay, so his company has changed names 3 times that he's worked for. And so that's a common question that I get with a lot of clients is, all right, the name's changed, so what do I put? Put whatever you think is the most popular name. And so in this case, the new name might not be as well known as their old name yet, since it seems like it's a fairly new change. So I'm going to go with the old name, not the original name, the name that they just changed. Obviously, I'll keep that to myself for confidentiality purposes. But that's what we are going to do. So I'm going to add that. So if your company's changed names, pick the one that they'll know you the most by. And I need to pick up, so I actually interviewed him. I'm going to bring his notes over to this screen here, mostly so I can see them. Normally I would have them over here, but since the iPad's resting on it, we're not going to do that. All right, so got his current role on there, which is 2015 to present. Nice. Now, the best thing to do moving forward now, so I've got his current role put on here. I've already added a skill section to the resume. I haven't updated it. I just copied and pasted it from another resume, and I'll update that part after I write his summary. But so I always put a little yellow highlight on there to remind me that I need to update. So now we're going to describe what he does. you read these things online about your resume should be all about accomplishment. Yes, I mean, that's ultimately what's going to draw the eyes to a resume, increase sales by XYZ percentage. But when's the last time you saw that in a job description? Um, the reality of a job description is it's very descriptive. It's description. It's describing the tasks and responsibilities that you're going to have. And so the best place from a keywording perspective is in the descriptive things that you do that are going to translate to where you want to go next. So let's get that. And I have 2-3 sentences, a couple of lines on the resume. That's about all you need. My posture to fix that. This chair's a little old. Up. There we go. Okay. All right, so this client calls on manufacturers, and specifically at a manufacturing plant. We want to quantify not just the number of sales he does, but you want to quantify what you do. So sells tools to manufacturers. Okay, to who in manufacturers? Plant managers. I said collaborate. I don't like that. I'm going to build relationships with targeted stakeholders, including plant managers, production, and procurement managers. So we've quantified who my client calls on. Now we're going to walk through the typical day, right? Meetings, negotiations, all of that. Agreements. Grow. One thing I forgot is where. So if you're selling something and you're writing a resume, quantify your territory. So I'm going to say 2. If it's more than 2 states, 3-state territory, 4-state territory, and you put parentheses on there and list out the states. These are just 2. So I'm just going to put the 2 states on there. So, this client indirectly manages a couple of sales reps. I've got some of the bigger names of companies that he calls on and clients that he's gotten. Nothing wrong with putting that on a resume. You want to be careful with your LinkedIn profile when doing that, though, because you never know what your NDA looks like, even though there's a whole thing out there about non-competes and so forth now and whether or not they're legal. You probably signed some kind of NDA, meaning you're not going to disclose information. So you sold to XYZ manufacturer on LinkedIn could get you in some trouble. Your resume is a confidential document, so there's less risk in doing that, and I encourage you to do it on the resume. Including if I can spell, which I cannot. Okie doke. Now, got that done. Let's look at his intake form. which I was just kidding, it was behind me. I just moved it over to that screen. Okay. And, you know, the reality of this client is that he was one of the first employees and did a lot of different things. So lumping them all into one spot is difficult. So we're going to break out his current role and from the last maybe 5-6 years or so, and then the one he did before it. So I grew book of business from 1 to 4 million. That's pretty good. So we're going to put that on there. There is a Schitt's Creek meme because I have LinkedIn up right behind me that is going on and on. So I'm going to cut that off because I love that show. But it's distracting. I need to do a calculation. So I'm going to go to my percent calculator because math is hard. 8 million, 15 million, 88%. It's 87.5%. And now I'm going to quantify that even. So grew book of business by 87.5%. That in and of itself is good. I'm going to take that up one more level and put the actual numbers in there. From 8 million to... What I want to know now is how long it took to grow that. I don't have that answer, so I'm going to put that on. Let's see. Lead, coach, manage, account. That is in, what states are they in? Let me go back to my interview for that. Georgia. Oops. Now, time to save. I'm not even 1/8 of the way done with this. Always be ABS. Always be saving. I wrote a resume the other night for an operations manager, and my computer froze, and I lost all of it. I had to completely redo it. So that was stupid. Let's check our time. Okay, we still got a few minutes. I feel like I want to put an example of a challenging sale. I don't have that right now, so I'm just going to put an additional bullet on here, challenging sale. And I want to put an example in an account growth. Specific times where you've done these things. I want to show that on here to further demonstrate sales ability and skill. So, current job, built out. Want to add a few more things. Now we're going to add the next job, so, or his previous job, which was, where did LinkedIn profile go? Oops, oh, there it is. I think Sloan is awake, so we might be exiting this sooner than I would have liked, which seems to always happen for whoever's watching. Today is the 20th. Okay. Wow, I didn't even need that date. Small tip. So when you're putting the dates of the resume on here, 2015 to present, you can put TO present which is what I've done. You can put dash present. I do that on some. Just be consistent with it. Don't have 2 here, dash here, dash here, dash here, or 2 dash 2 dash 2, or however you want to split it up. Be consistent with how you put that on the resume. So I'm spelling out 2, and so we're going to do that at each one. So the way I have him set up with his current job, I've got company, city, and then at the far right of the document, dates. The full time he was there, or he's been there. And then I've got his job title on the next line down, and in parentheses, how long he's been in his current job. So if he's been at his existing company since 2007, on the top line with the company and city, I've got 2007 TO present. On the next line, I've got his title, and then in parentheses, 2015 to present, which is when he started this new role. And then, so I've got 4 bullets there. Good rule of thumb is try to have a bullet per year with a maximum of 5 or 6. I've got 4. I think we'll probably find another one when he and I talk to review this. So now I'm going to give an extra line break. And I'm going to add the job he had previously. And I'm going to put, hired as, sort of early stage employee. If I can type. Sip of water because I'm thirsty. Now I'm going to get the descriptive piece, which I've already got off of his existing resume. So I'm just going to consolidate that, 2-3 line paragraphs, and then get into his bullets. Account management, technology, implementation, personnel, and profitability. Yeah, Sloane's awake from her nap. Before she's supposed to be. Right. Now let's go to his intake form, which is in Google Docs. So, elevated, I love that word. Elevated. Sales operations. To 4 million. Growth by, back to my percent calculator. I should be able to do this in my head, but I can't. 8 million. Whoopsie. 300% increase. Wow, it's amazing. All right. Let's see. So, new software update. That's certainly something to highlight. Anytime you implement new technology, that is something that you want to highlight. So, but how do you want to word it? Implemented new CRM software. That's boring, isn't it? Implemented new CRM software. Even though that's what he did, let's go up a level. Modernized sales management process by implementing new CRM software. Managed solicitation, vendor selection, and implementation to team. There we go. Okay. Thanks for joining me on Instagram Live today. my 1-year-old is up and crying from her nap, so I'm gonna go get her up. And if you have any questions, send me a DM. Don't hesitate to ask. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.